All right, so this is my Stars on Mars episode 3 review. It feels like it's been on longer. Anyway, so they start off needing a new base commander, as always. And there's a bunch of confessionals. Sherman seems to be done, mentally done. So first thing, because everyone's feeling blue, Portia seems to think that she heard a dog, which, based on what ended up happening, I'm going to say she did hear a dog. It's just that the dog was outside, so they didn't know that it was a dog. So they decide that they need a dog. And by they, I mean the Stars on Mars powers that be. Or maybe it was Shatner, I don't know. Decided they need a dog. A therapy dog. So Portia is describing what she heard at night, and the other girls are laughing at her. Portia's like, I'm losing my mind. I'm hearing a dog. And like I said, I think she did hear a dog. It's just that because it was outside, so they end up with a dog, a robot dog. And so then it comes time to, walking the dog. So it's Lance and, oh God, let me see if I can say her name properly this time. I keep wanting to say Tanisha. I know it's not that. Tinashe. I think that's it. I think I finally got it. And they are assigned to walk the dog, which Lance is terribly amused about. He's probably thinking, why am I doing this? So they're chatting, and Tinashe thinks that Lance would make a good base commander. And she also expresses interest in being a base commander because Lance doesn't want to be a base commander. She does, however, and he agrees that she would be a great one. And that she feels like, when she speaks up, it's like nobody's listening to her. And Adam even says later on that she is soft-spoken. And let's face it, she's super polite. She isn't loud like Portia or even Ariel. She's very quiet, very polite. And let's face it, in order to get your attention when you're dealing with, at this point it was 10 people, you have to be loud to get people to listen to you. So, they're talking about it, and Tinashe asks Lance if, he would vote for her. And also Lance is like, are you going to follow me on Instagram? So they try to play fetch with the dog. The dog does not move. I'm sorry. Why? I mean, I realize the dog doesn't move like a real dog, but you'd think that they would at least program it to, play fetch. But anyway, they're like, oh good, now we have to go get it. So they leave the dog outside, and they even showed the dog taking a shit, which was funny. Which I have to admit, I giggled. And so it comes down to Tinashe trying to campaign for the position of base commander. She talks to Adam, and Adam immediately talks to Ariel and thinks Ariel should be base commander. And Ariel's like, okay, I have to, people wanted me to be base commander from the very beginning, but I was too scared. And now she really, really wants the position, to the point where it's actually to the point of arrogance. I mean, she seems like a sweet girl, but yeah. Knowing full well that this is heavily edited and God knows what actually happened. So it comes down to everyone's getting together. Okay, let's talk about who should be base commander. Tinashe immediately pipes up, and Adam, who she thought was going to vote for her, suggests Ariel, which didn't sit well with her because she's like, wait, what? And everybody is starting to talk over Tinashe, and I'm thinking, oh, it's happening again. Somebody else is going to get picked simply because people are ignoring her, even though she is talking. And she wasn't being really quiet. She was, she was speaking up. So, they do a blind vote. And Tinashe wins, which made me happy because she was so sad that, she felt like people weren't listening to her. So I was happy about that, but Ariel was bummed. And I'm like, well, maybe you should have just taken it when it was offered to you in the beginning. So, I mean, I do feel bad because, Ariel was bummed about it, but at the same time, this isn't the first time Tinashe has been campaigning for this. So I was happy for Tinashe. And so then there was the issue of Marshawn not wanting to give up his room. Now, we do not know what Tinashe said to Marshawn to get him to give up the suite, because they asked her and she just smiled and didn't say anything. Or at least that part was edited out. So we don't know how she convinced Marshawn to give her the room. And instead of sleeping with the other guys like everyone else is doing, Marshawn is sleeping on the couch. Okay, dude. So that's been settled. Rhonda is, of course, working on the veggies, working in the biodome. And she's being helped by Natasha. And earlier, Rhonda had a cell phone, and she was talking to her husband, and he was showing them the baby. And of course, Rhonda misses her baby, which, that's fair. Now, what I'd like to know, based on what Richard was saying, how, he misses his kids. She's the only one we see with a cell phone talking to her husband and seeing the baby. So I don't know, was she privileged that way? Was she the only one who thought to do this? Or do we just not see it for everyone else? But Richard is saying he's starting to, check out. He just doesn't want to be here anymore. He just doesn't like the isolation, and he misses his kids. So, Rhonda and Natasha are in the biodome, and they're talking, and Natasha was, basically saying how she never knew that this side of Rhonda existed. And Rhonda even said that, she has a reputation as an asshole to maintain. I'm like, well, if enough people are watching, well, that reputation just went down the toilet because she seems really sweet. So they're working, you know, obviously Rhonda is the one who's in charge because she understands how to take care of the plants. And Natasha even mentioned that she was surprised because she thought Rhonda was a bitch. And I have to admit, that was her reputation. Yes, that is true. So, then it comes time to work out. And of course, Adam and Ariel are cleaning because, everybody knows at this point that they're clean freaks. So, okay. But then it comes time for everyone to work out. And of course, I felt bad for Natasha here. Why are you comparing yourselves to the pros? Of course, the athletes are going to have no problem working out because that was their job. And for a lot of them, they probably still work out. Obviously, not as intensely as they did when they were competing. But, there are certain habits that you get into. It's not like they're going to completely let themselves go the second they don't have to compete anymore. They're still gonna want to work out. So, and of course, if she doesn't work out, if she's never worked out, of course she's gonna have issues that the others don't. That's just, why are you comparing yourself? She feels like she doesn't belong there because of that reason. I'm like, no, no, I'm sure you have something to offer. If nothing else, emotional support, but why make yourself feel bad because you're not an athlete? Because you're comparing yourself to actual athletes. Of course they're going to know what they're doing. So, even Tom, who is, fairly fit, he, Richard and Marshawn were teaching him how to go down what looked like a ladder along the ground, which was a very football move. So, of course, you would expect football players, especially, say, I don't know, a running back and a cornerback, to do that just fine because, they did that for how many years of their lives? So they were teaching Tom how to run this. And of course Rhonda has good footwork, which, okay, we knew that. That's not a shock. Obviously she wasn't doing it the way the football players were, but she knows what she's doing. So again, why are you comparing yourself, Natasha? You're not an athlete, you're a comedian. Now, if you had been, if working out was a part of your day to day, then yeah, okay, you could feel bad that, you're not nearly in their league because at least you've been doing something to work out, to do something. Still, you shouldn't compare yourself, but that would make sense. But if you don't ever work out, why are you comparing yourself to pro athletes? That's just stupid. That you're just basically asking to be depressed. But anyway, so then it comes time so they're hanging out, and so then it's time to go to bed. And and of course the warning light goes off. There is a fire in the biodome. So Tinashe takes charge. She's like, okay, everybody out. Somebody wake up Portia, and they run out. Now, we didn't see in what order they were running out, but I really, really hope that Marshawn was last because, well, he's the running back. So, hence, he's the fastest. So, it would take him less time to get away from the hab than anybody else. But we don't see in what order they leave. We just know that they all left, and I'm glad that they all got out. So there's an explosion, and then Ariel's like, okay, everybody back into the hab. After the AI said, okay, it's safe for you to come back in. And I'm just like, why, Ariel? The AI already said it's safe to come back in. You don't need to say, okay, everybody back in the hab. That was unnecessary, I thought, but okay. I mean, if, there were people who weren't going back, then yeah, but okay. So, they go back into the hab, and the AI mentions that, well, first there's a message from Shatner saying, oh, well, you lost all your food. I mean, you're gonna starve now. But, they have a way of fixing, so they have to fix the hab and then regrow their food. Because it's either that or you have to live on the packets that they have. I think they had like Chex Mix and things like that. But anyway, so 4 people were going to go and fix the outside so they can seal up the biodome. And they have 25 minutes to do it. So the people who are climbing the ladders are Lance and Portia. And I'm pretty sure that it was supposed to be Portia, definitely, who was supposed to climb up the ladder. However, because of how well Lance helped her go down the mountain, go down the cliff last episode, I guess that's why they wanted Lance to be the other one, because that way he could have just as easily been one of those holding the ladder. But that came down to the 2 football players. So Richard seemed less than enthused that his job is to hold a ladder. Marshawn just found it hilarious that was his job. And Lance and Marshawn were kind of fighting over who gets to drive the Rover. Those 2 are hilarious. And they were also entertained that Marshawn was going to hold the ladder for Lance, which obviously Marshawn's got the tougher job between him and Richard, because I'm going to assume Lance is heavier than Portia. And so they head out. They cut open more of the fabric so they can cover it up. And they're like, where are the scissors? Where are the scissors? Well, right down there. I don't know, did they ever pick up the scissors? Because they managed to cut what they needed to, so. So, Lance and Portia were up, and I can't remember who was asking Portia about her height fright, if she's okay. And Richard is like, yeah, I'm just standing here holding a ladder. So they take care of that stuff and come back. So, oh yes, and Ariel is the mission specialist. And Marshawn's like, I like Ariel, but she did not shut up. I think that she's so lacks a confidence in her own abilities that she's overcompensating by micromanaging. Oh, you need to do this, you need to do this. And they're telling her, yeah, we know that. That she's giving commands that aren't necessary because they already know that. They are not children. They heard the commands. They know what they're doing. So I can see how that could get annoying. So they come back, and then it's up to the rest of them to bring the bio lab back to life. And so the first people in are Rhonda and Tom, and Rhonda is just devastated because it looks horrible. I mean, it's like a bomb went off in there. Everything is desolate. So they have to go to the sanitation bay, open it up, take out the fertilizer, and 96 cups, they said, fill it out, and take it so Adam and Natasha could fill the beds. Now, Rhonda, what was she doing besides giving emotional support? Because she obviously couldn't help with the shoveling it out because there's only so much room. So obviously she couldn't do that. And so both she and Tom were just basically talking while Tom was like, I've got to do this the best I can because I don't want to be in the bottom three again. Which he even joked with Tinashe that, how are you going, what are you going to do to keep me from going into the bottom three? So Tom was having a few issues with the smell, which that couldn't have smelled good. Now, so he was able to get it all in, and they go, and it's then Adam and Natasha's job to fill the garden beds. Now, Adam is doing an awesome job, and Natasha is just gagging. Now, if it actually smelled like fertilizer, I think I would have been fine. But if it was like what they're saying, that it smelled like vomit, yeah, I understand the gagging. That is, I just can't smell that either. And once you start gagging, it gets worse and worse and worse, and then you're going to end up throwing up. So the fact that Natasha somehow managed not to, kudos to her. So Adam is the one who's pouring everything out, and Ariel's trying desperately to help Natasha. Like, why don't you cut the potatoes so it'll be ready for the beds? And they show Natasha having an issue with that. So, poor Natasha. So they were able to get it done in the amount of time that they needed to, and then it came time to take out the trash. And it was hilarious. Rhonda was talking to the plants earlier, and so Tom was baby talking to the garden beds, and Ariel and Tinashe were just dying. So everyone took out the trash, which was basically just an excuse. Well, they had to do it anyway, but also it was basically an excuse to get everybody into the airlock so they could come in one by one and as they were saved. Now, I thought this was a bit of a dick move. I don't know if this was the producers who suggested this to Ariel and Tinashe, or it was their idea to wait till the last damn second to save Tom. I thought that was a bit of a dick move. I mean, I know that Tom didn't want to be in the bottom three again, but there was no reason for him to be. So the bottom three turned out to be Marshawn, Richard, and Natasha. And the only thing that pretty much saved Natasha, which even though Ariel seemed to want Marshawn gone because he's just, coasting. And I said last week already that he seems like the kind of guy who he did this for Richard and that he never really wanted to be there to begin with. Because he just didn't seem like he wanted to be there. Like I said, he wouldn't even sleep with the rest of the guys. He slept on the couch. I didn't catch who it was who was putting a blanket on him. But, so it came down to the three. And I honestly thought that because Richard seemed to be like totally done, I really thought that he would have gone first and said, they don't need to save themselves. I'm done. Let them continue. But no, that's not what happened. Natasha, she at least was honest. She made it out to be something good, but she was honest. She's like, yeah, I know that I'm not much help right now, but I'm sure we can find something, anything that I can do to help. We just haven't found it yet. So she was honest about it. Like I said, she polished up that, turd, but she was honest. So Marshawn, he made it out to be funny, but it's true. I held that ladder so, which was hilarious. But what else can he say? I mean, his job was to hold the ladder for Lance. There really isn't much more you can do with that. So, and I think Lance won the war of who gets to drive the buggy. So, yeah, he really didn't have a lot to work with. But Richard's like, oh yeah, you guys will be fine with Marshawn and Natasha. I'm done. And they're like, oh, he's resigning. And so then they're talking, and Rhonda is saying, if you kick out Richard, Marshawn will be next, and I'll be right behind. So, okay, yes, that might happen, but Richard seems to want to leave. What are they supposed to do? Force him to stay? How is that beneficial to anybody? So, Richard ended up leaving, and Rhonda's upset. But at the same time, I think I hope she's upset because she's, stupid phone. I hope she's upset because she knows that what she's saying is true. Because even Marshawn's like, wait, what? You're leaving? So, just by the double take he gave Richard. So, Rhonda knows this is true. But they can't force Richard to stay. Ariel would have preferred that Marshawn go because he's doing the bare minimum. Even though they even said that, Richard has really not done much that isn't physical. I'm like, okay, what exactly do you want him to do? Because everybody has their talents. It's not like there's a bunch of jack of all trades that are being sent up to Mars. Everyone's going to have their niche. So, I thought that was a weird criticism of Richard. And the fact that Marshawn is doing the bare minimum, that is a fair criticism. But, and like I said, I don't think he ever really wanted to be there. And the fact is that Rhonda is probably right. Marshawn's probably next out. So, so Richard leaves, and Ariel and Tinashe realize that there's a strong alliances forming. And I agree with Ariel, that's not what this experiment should be about. Because it shouldn't be about the social game. It should be about who can survive in these harsh conditions. Because you know things are just going to get worse. I don't know how much more than having your hab blow up, how much worse it could get, but it sounds like they're trying to up the ante for them. I think I've covered everything from this episode. So next episode, I did read that there's going to be a double elimination. It looks like Rhonda is going to be the base commander, which I momentarily didn't recognize her because of the glasses, and I didn't catch who the mission specialist is. But, so my prediction, if we go based off of, if we just go based off of, who previously has not done very well, or in the case of Marshawn is just coasting, I think it's going to be Marshawn and Natasha. Now, it could easily be that if they choose to get rid of Marshawn first, depending on whether Natasha pulls something out of her ass and is shown to be mission critical, I think it's going to then be Marshawn, and Rhonda's going to voluntarily leave. Basically like Richard did. Because it sounds like she's already made the decision that she doesn't want to stay if they're not staying. And right now, she just has Marshawn left. So, yeah. It's going to be two of those three are going to leave depending on how things work. I mean, it could be that Marshawn is suddenly does amazing, but if I'm right that he was only there because Richard was there, then he's not going to try any harder than he has been. Let me think if there's anything else to say about this episode. If I missed anything. Oh yes, and like I said, Tinashe was so sweet and so polite when she was asking people to do this, do that. It was so nice. So very nice to hear how absolutely, incredibly, actually I would have found it annoying at how polite she was, but, because considering what this was happening, you don't quite need to be that polite. Polite, yes, but, you don't need to be overly polite. But anyway, that's just her, and, I'd rather be polite than be an asshole, so. Anyway, I think I covered everything I wanted to in this episode, and I will see you guys next time.